what else can we all be united by, across divides and political and, sociological divides? Songs unite.
This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
Woohoo, I'm Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light, and welcome to Sound Up.
All right, on today's show, we've got our conversation with Neil Finn of Crowded House on the band's forthcoming album, Gravity Stairs, which hits stores May 31st.
Plus, our good friend Madison, digital director at Esquire, joins us for a Sound Up album after party, where we go deep on a new major album release, and we had a big one drop on Friday, Billie Eilish's Hit Me Hard and Soft.
I'm really curious to hear what everybody thinks about this album. Hugely anticipated, unique, a creative Grammy and Oscar-winning artist. She is a whopping 22 years old. Wow. All right, a lot to do today, so let's get right into it with our first guest. Aussie band Crowded House has gone through many changes over the years since their first album debuted in 1986. They disbanded after a number of farewell shows in 1996, and a year after the death of Paul Hester in 2005, Crowded House reformed, released 2 albums, went back into another hiatus, then reunited in 2020 with a new lineup featuring founding members Neil Finn and Nick Seymour, along with the producer of their first 3 albums, Mitchell Froom, and Finn's sons, Liam and Elroy. The second album with this lineup, Gravity Stairs, due for release May 31st, and Neil Finn joins us right now on Sound Up.
Hello there.
Welcome, Neil Finn.
It's great to see you and great to hear about new music coming from Crowded House. I wanted to leap in with the first words that I heard as I started to play this record. I began to sense my own weight walking up those gravity stairs.
Yeah.
That's where we come in.
Yes, that's where we come in.
I thought it was nice to name check the album. I don't know which came first, to be honest now. I can't remember if that first line came first or the album title. But yeah, it's an attention grabber and to the album title. And it's a little bit of a nod in the direction of the force of will it takes to try and elevate yourself, not just out of bed, but also into making something worthwhile and, creative, and the combined force of will that I seem to have the compulsion to do. But some of the album does explore the kind of the process of trying to achieve that, because it's quite mysterious to achieve those heights. It requires a lot of endurance.
Words matter, but they get in the way. When you've got a story to tell, let the melody reign. That's the second line.
You're just going to go line by line through.
A little further in, but
now you're going to go through this whole record, aren't you?
Yes.
I hope you parceled out some time.
Is that notion that, at the title, this Gravity Stairs, you said this sort of struggle to, swallow hard and jump and make yourself keep working. Is this a new theme for you, a different theme nowadays, or just that's what it is to be a creator?
These things just come out and I kind of follow the threads, and I get these lines that pop into my head, and you try and give them some purpose and some meaning by tying up the loose ends and following that thought. And my songs are always a little bit like darting here, there, and everywhere with impressions. And some of these songs are a little bit more direct. The Magic Piano is kind of like relating to that lightness of being that you get when you do elevate yourself. And I've often said that music's really hard and then it's really easy. It's like that, you just have to keep turning up. And it's hard to sort of find new pathways in it. But when I'm sitting on the piano, it really is like a whole exploring a landscape. Sometimes you achieve great heights with that, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. I have days when I go in and visit my wife and say there's not a musical bone in my body, and she just sort of rolls her eyes and sighs and knows that it'll be okay in a few days, But I suppose that process is compelling for me and really interesting to me, and I find myself writing about it. And it's an analogy for a lot of different efforts that people make in their lives. The extra bit of effort that just really brings something home. It doesn't have to be a musical thing, any kind of creative thing. It might actually just be in a way to solve a problem in your family. You have to go a little bit extra, and then you get that, hopefully you do end up in a really elevated place.
This sort of assessing this? You're assessing not only your songwriting, but creativity as a whole, and you're applying this to your world and to the world at large. Is this new? Is this what Neil Finn thinks about as he gets older?
Not all day, but I do find it interesting because I'm actually becoming more obsessive and prepared to get into the mechanics of what a song should be as time goes on. I'm not sure if it's because it's getting harder or that I'm just more interested in it because it's such a great mystery. It's one of life's great mysteries. And when music connects and the way it connects is in part alchemy and, inspiration, but also equally, a kind
perspiration, isn't it? Perspiration?
Perspiration for sure. And you can apply a little bit of observational skill to it after a long period of time. Like I'm now, when I'm listening to a jam that might have happened, I can spot the little jewels in it better than I used to be able to. And I'll concentrate on those and work those up a number of times and actually then disassemble things quite a lot. And I just become aware that my process is becoming quite individual. I mean, the other people have similar things to say, but the way we get to the point, there's a bit of skullduggery involved. Is that a term that you use over there?
Yeah.
Skullduggery, yeah.
Only when we're talking pirates.
Yeah. And, a bit of charm and a bit of chant and a bit of skullduggery and some bluff, ultimately. Every now and again, there's a line that won't resolve itself. So you just throw something in that sounds good and go, well, I don't know what it means. But sometimes people come to me and tell me that a line that I didn't know what it meant actually is quite brilliant, and they've been really admiring it. And I go, well, okay, that's good.
That's Paul McCartney writing, the movement you need is on your shoulder and Hey Jude and saying, oh, I'll fix that. And Lennon saying, no, that's the best line in the song. You keep that.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of mystery. And, from something banal, something beautiful can emerge in somebody's mind. And I love that process. And it's becoming really, so I guess I am prepared to talk about songwriting actually in songs because it's becoming more and more fascinating to me.
So with more awareness of that, of thinking about process and structure and all of that stuff, does this set of songs, I don't want to say was it easier or harder or whatever it is, but if there is more of sort of that level of awareness, how does that, how did that impact what it was to get these songs finished up?
Well, it's combined with the process that we have now where we were able to get into the studio on 2 or 3 occasions and play live on the floor in the old-fashioned way, but we didn't have a concentrated spell like 6 weeks like we used to do an album in 6 weeks in a studio altogether. We were going off to our various locations and we are spread out around the globe, sending files to each other and then getting things back. And, it's more long-winded, convoluted process. It has some joys in it in that people can try out their indulgent ideas and, they often end up on the floor when they come back. But it is something you can't do in the studio. But all of that makes the process, a bit longer and more involved. And I'm not sure that it's getting any easier, to be honest, but it seems more worthwhile. And when you look at the state of the world, music just seems more and more valuable to me. And it's not like I truly believe that it can change the world, but I kind of do as well. I kind of think it's possible that a song could come along that could just transform at least large groups of people and give them better incentive to think good thoughts and to do kindly things and all that it all bubbles away in me as some kind of huge aspiration in the background. It sounds sort of absurd in a way to say a humble song can do that, but what else can we all be united by, across divides and political and, sociological divides? Songs unite and they do so in really strange ways. And what is a great song for someone's funeral is the same song as a great one for someone's wedding. Yep. How does that make sense? But it's fascinating.
That's right.
Well, since you're thinking about songwriting, which camp do you land in? Are you of the opinion that they're all out there and you just have to tune in to the right frequency and pull that song down? Is it something, is it ethereal or is it a gift or is it perspiration and all those other things?
It's sort of arbitrary whether you think it's out there in the ether or whether it's in your own subconscious. And we have a collective consciousness as human beings anyway so it's just whatever metaphor you want to grab or analogy you want to strike. I'm in for all of it. I'll believe in any of it. It might be, if it's somebody gifting, the only thing that always gets me sometimes when I see people thank God at award ceremonies is that there's a certain vanity in the idea that, well, God chose me. and not you. So I don't know.
Well, I thought that song was going to go to Phil Collins.
Yeah.
Well, somebody said that. I'm making these up, but James Taylor would say, if I would hear this, if I would pick up on a phrase or something, I better write it down and record it and use it, or it's going to go down the road to Jackson Browne, and then he's going to take it and finish it.
I like the way he thinks, because I think that's probably true. Yeah. There are certain catchphrases that have appeared in songs now over the last 30 years that you kind of go, oh, damn, I wish I could use that, because you find yourself singing it in a jamming sort of mode as a songwriter, and you go, oh, that's right. No, that's already been used. A lot of the really good ones have gone, but there's still a few, that haven't been used.
They're still out there.
Let's hope.
You mentioned that this configuration of Crowded House is truly scattered across multiple continents.
Yeah.
How does that impact? You said sometimes you can get together, sometimes you're sending stuff around. Do you get on, Zoom calls and try and work together remotely? What happens as it gets across more and more time zones to try and pull a session together?
Everything we can muster. We do Zoom calls from time to time to discuss the status of certain songs. Often it's just sharing files, and a note will go around and I'll say, look, I've disassembled the song that we slaved over for 2 hours in the studio, or 5 hours in the studio, and it's now, I've just used a verse and it's a whole new song. And they'll go, oh, okay. And then they'll get down to learning it again. But things do get shifted around a lot, and I'm always looking for a little bit of smallest bit of advantage that I can bring to bear on it. It's a little bit of spit and polish at the end, or it's also, sometimes I take the whole thing apart, and if it doesn't feel quite right, I'm fascinated by the process, but sometimes I feel like I'm really having to take the other guys along, because they're I can see them in their individual remote locations shaking their heads and go, what the hell is he doing now?
What is he talking about?
I thought we had resolved this already, but they know what I'm like. I'm changing things all the way.
I know that Teenage Summer is one of the songs that went through some changes. It was called something else initially.
It was called Life's Imitation. In fact, on the first pressing of the record, that's what it'll be called, because we couldn't change but
didn't catch it in time.
I was alerted to how obvious that decision was by my grandson, Mania, who was singing it on a FaceTime call one day. And he said, I really like that song, Papa, Teenage Summer. And I went, ding, the children have spoken.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mentioned at the top that Mitch Froom is in the band, the band.
He's in the band, finally.
Producing, finally. Yeah, he sort of, after those first 3 records, he kind of went into the stratosphere.
Well, he became a very good producer. He was only fresh off the blocks when we found him with Crowded House, and we learnt together, and he then went on and had a great series of works with Chad Blake in particular for a good period. They were an amazing team, and gathered all his skills. And I just think he got to a point, and we luckily timed the phone call where he was going, oh, I don't know if I can produce another record for a little while. I'm going to have a break. And I think my call came as quite a fresh potential for him.
That screws my next question then. It's going to be like, doesn't he, he must be all over you guys. Like, look, here's what we can try here. And
can he turn it off?
Yeah.
We've had to dampen his producer mode a little bit in the sense that when I first bring a song to the band, it's traditional in my mind anyway for people just to jam along with it for a while and not judge anything too much and just see what's in it. But Mitchell's like, first time it's come through, well, I think that second verse needs to be a couple of bars longer. And, so he's definitely still got his producer's hat on, and I'm just kind of gently trying to coax him into a keyboard player's way of thinking.
He says he doesn't want to do it, but he
can't help himself.
There's no way around it. Yeah,
he can't help himself. And I mean, look, hey, I'm being facetious. His opinion matters a lot in terms of record making. He's done a lot of really great ones, so I'll always have an interest in what he's got to say.
Neil, can you tell us a bit about your efforts with the So They Can organization, which I know informs some of the music on here, though I guess you're not trying to draw too straight a line. But talk about those, what that work is that you're doing.
Well, yeah, the song Oh Hi was in process, but then got diverted to support a cause, which I believe very passionately and have been following for quite a long time, which is helping to bring education to kids in places where they wouldn't get a chance to have it. These are really important kids. They are incredibly bright minds, and we kind of need them in the world, and they're deeply inspiring for me. So Ojai became focused on them. I directed the lyrics towards them. I'm going to visit them in July in the schools in Kenya. So the Can is going to receive any income that the song gets. And the thing I love about that is that it's got dual purpose. It's not a charity song in the sense that we're telling people to buy it because it's a charity song. It's a Crowded House song, and we're proud of it in that regard, but it's serving a dual purpose. And I'm starting to see that as a really lovely way to actually be motivated to climb those gravity stairs, because there's a little bit more to it than just furnishing your career. And we're actually out there trying to help in a concrete way get some really bright kids educated and into the world, because God knows we need them.
Yeah, for sure. Your brother makes an appearance on one song on this record, and certainly people know Split Ends from years ago when the two of you actually worked together, and Crowded House as well for a minute.
Yeah.
There's something, and people have talked about this, there's something about sibling harmony that you guys have. And is there, I haven't heard much about what Tim is up to these days. Is there any discussions or?
Well, we always keep our hand in. We're writing a few things here and there for different projects. This was one that came about from my father's war diary, which Tim had pointed out, a great story in there about him coming to a ballroom in Florence towards the end of the tour. He was in the New Zealand forces in Italy, and they'd been out on the lash, as they say in Ireland, with his mates, and they came into this officers' club, and they were not officers, so they snuck in. And there was this glamorous girl on the other side of the room that Dad said in his diary, she was out of my league, but I thought I'd ask her to dance anyway, and she did. And they danced the night away and had a lovely 2-week romance in Florence. So it became like Dad's exotic other life. And every now and again, he'd speak Italian at the dinner table and looked wistful, and Mum would go, "Oh, I suppose that's what Nada used to say." And that was Nada was her name, this glamorous woman who was a diplomat's daughter. That was the origin of that song. The song's a little bit broader in its concept than that now, but yeah, it was a lovely starting point. The first verse definitely is kind of about his mindset as he walked into the room, into the Baglioni ballroom.
So how did Tim wind up on it?
Well, Tim co-wrote it with me. It was Tim's, Tim, we tried to write it together. It went through a few transitions, but I thought it would be, it's a lovely 2-part harmony song, and it was only right that he would come and sing it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Nice, full family touch. And then it begs the other question of, with your sons in the band, that can go a lot of ways. A lot of things can happen when you're working under the same organization across generations. What has it been to work with them and to continue to work with them to sustain that as a alliance?
Well, it's come about in a really nice way, because it's nice the idea of working with your family is great on paper, but as you rightly say, it can go pear-shaped. If it's the wrong motivation every day. I think that what we do have when we come into rehearsal is now a very equal partnership, and everybody's really earned their spot in the band, and they bring a lot to the band. Liam's a great songwriter, Elroy's a really good songwriter, and both good ideas with arrangement and all sorts of things. So I feel like it's risen the potential of the band, elevated the band, and we're excited about where it's heading. And as we play more and more live, we're becoming a really hot lineup, and we're starting to jam, and we trust each other, and it's kind of transcended the family feeling, but that is all the strength still there, the way our voices unite, and the way we don't have to explain certain nuances of feel and melody, because we just get it. It's family, That's all a real bonus, but it wouldn't work unless they were also just really fantastic musicians that I really look forward to playing with, and we can get through our occasional family, the 1,000-yard stare at rehearsal when I say the wrong thing occasionally, but that doesn't seem to have been a problem at all. Maybe the balance of people with Mitchell, and Mitchell's very supportive of them and us, and Nick's, just a dear old friend for all of us. We all have a great connection to this Crowded House mythology and to the history, and it feels pretty soulful.
I'm so glad Alan asked you about playing with your sons. I just can't even imagine the joy of looking over across the stage and seeing your kids there. It's incredible.
It is a joy.
My heart is full from it. It's really something. Well, we'll ask you about the tour and stuff, but I'm wondering, thinking of touring, have you heard anything from your other band, Fleetwood Mac?
I was going to ask, I am curious. I think a lot of our listeners, the last they would have seen you would have been out on the Fleetwood Mac dates.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you bring back, into Crowded House Project from that experience, from being inside that kind of machinery, from really having to study that catalog and work on those songs? Is there anything that you take away from that and bring back into the Crowded House work?
Yeah, I think I learned a lot on that tour. It was an extraordinary thing to step outside of my normal life. Yeah, it felt like adopting a new personality in a funny kind of way. That band is full of individuals. It just made me more appreciative of the rare and special thing that happens when people with real characteristics get together and form some kind of sound that nobody could have imagined before they got together. And Fleetwood Mac were a great example of that. But they had also several incarnations. And, with Mick Fleetwood flying the flag and, driving it forward, they managed to make each incarnation interesting and obviously extremely successful in the end as well. But that was a lovely thing to observe, and it gave me a little bit of inspiration for thinking that my old band was, in its own way, well, certainly for me, a classic band too, and could be rethought about and redefined and given new life. So it inspired me in that regard, and it was also just an amazing experience to get deep inside someone's songs and to sing with those girls and to, Stevie and Christine, and to stand there and have the joy of listening to the way John and Mick put it together every night. One of the great rhythm sections of all time. Yeah, deeply inspiring. I took a lot away from it, and some of it I could maybe be specific about, but most of it's just something that fills your brain and your soul, and you take it onwards as a form of inspiration.
Beyond the feeling that you described, nothing more came out of it? Like, okay, we're going to call you in a year because we'll be going out again. And
it's hard to imagine that there'll be more touring. At the moment, the loss of Christine has certainly, she was such an important part of the band. I know they went out at various points without Christine, without Lindsay, and I'm sure there was great moments and amongst all of that, but it seems pretty remote at the moment. I would be, happy to be a part of whatever happens if anything happens, but I'd also be perfectly happy if they found a way to,
get Lindsay back.
See their way forward with Lindsay. I think that would be fantastic too. So
Fair enough.
So you've got deeper into the summer. You've got Crowded House dates coming up.
Yeah.
You will actually gather from all four corners of the earth,
yeah,
convene and take this thing out.
We'll now be spending most of our time together for the next 6 months, which is a nice thought. And everyone's busy sort of refreshing their memories about what they played on the record. That's the weird thing about making a record. You play something once, or sometimes it's after a few rehearsals, but there's the odd first take where everyone's just barely knows the song, and then you get back into learning it, and it's actually quite hard because your first ideas are not that scientific or worked out. So the little nuances that you grow to love listening to the record, quite hard to learn sometimes. I know Liam was just talking about that. He was aware on one of the songs that what's on the record was the very first time he'd played it. And I don't even know if I know how to do what I was doing anymore because I didn't work it out, So it's an interesting conundrum.
The tour starts in August here in the United States. I know that you are here, or you will be here in the U.S. Coming soon in the next few days, but then you head to the U.K. and Europe, and we will see you in August for a bit. We're
really excited about playing these songs live. I know it's going to be a great record to play live, and, we're getting better all the time.
I think so.
That's all you can ask.
All right.
Neil Finn, Gravity Stairs, on its way out May 31st, and the tour to start in August here in the United States. Thank you so much, Neil.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you. Nice talking to you.
All right.
Many thanks, Neil Finn. I can't wait for everybody to get a listen to this record. Really great writing and some great harmonies as well. Looking forward to that.
I am still fascinated by how easily people have fallen into this recording across continents, time zones, Zoom sessions. You hear these things and you realize really what a different world we're in when it comes to getting these kind of sessions done.
So is that an upside or a downside of COVID? I'm not sure.
More options is always an upside. that's got to be good. Doesn't mean all the results are for the good, but
right. Really amazing.
It's
true.
But now it's just, you sort of take for granted, like, oh yeah, that would connect sometimes. We'd send stuff around. We'd do these sessions. Like, that's just
right.
Standard operating procedure.
And I remember marveling at, oh, so you guys are emailing files back and forth? That's crazy. You could do that? Yeah, it's SOP now. All right, we're going to take a fast break here. And our pal Madison Vane joining us for our Billie Eilish Sound Up album after party. That's next.
This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
All right, welcome back to Sound Up. This past Friday, the 17th, Billie Eilish dropped her third studio album, Hit Me Hard and Soft. So before we leap into this one, quick facts on this artist. This is the third studio album. Since releasing her debut, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go in 2019, which featured that massive global hit, Bad Guy. What has happened since?
Since then... And remember, she had hits before that. Ocean Eyes was a hit before that album even happened.
From the EP, yeah.
She has racked up 9 Grammy Awards, 25 Grammy nominations. Billie and brother Phineas are the 2 youngest artists to have won 2 Oscars, winning in 2021 for No Time to Die from the James Bond film of the same name, and then again in 2023 for What Was I Made For from the Barbie soundtrack.
Stunning. Amazing. And joining us on our Sound Up album after party to break it all down, the highs and lows of the new Billie Eilish album from Esquire magazine, our pal Madison Vane. Welcome back.
You guys. What a fun topic to return to the podcast for. I mean, I gave myself a pep talk just minutes ago where I said, just stay on track because this album goes in so many directions. I could go down too many rabbit holes, but so there's so much to talk about, but I'm going to do my best to stay organized.
Well, we're going to be leading you down multiple rabbit holes.
No.
Sure each of us have our own things that we want to explore.
True.
So give us first impressions.
Yeah, I mean, hit me hard, hit me soft. Let's answer the question. It's mainly soft. I really, really like it. There are hints of it getting louder and bigger than she's gone before. But for the most part, we're really in her pocket vocally. It's still a lot of whisper singing. It is really confessional. It's amazing that she has maintained this relationship with her songwriting this many albums in, but at this level of fame in, right? Like maybe 3 albums isn't 10 years of being dissected all over 100 songs, but it is crushing the amount of attention she has received on her body, on her sexuality, on what she's into, on her and her brother, on her documentary. So the fact that she can still sit down and sing into a microphone in ways that you feel like, oh my God, I can't believe she just admitted that, is really remarkable. So I have to give 18 thumbs ups for that. To even find something to complain about, you have to really be nitpicking. You know what I mean? For the most part, you're getting what you want when you listen to this thing.
So I got to talk about, I went last Wednesday. I think I mentioned that I was going to do this. They did an album first playback at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, where I sat with 20,000 kids listening to the first playback of the Billie Eilish album. And Billie came out on an empty floor and just sort of hung out, danced around.
I mean, in the middle, where the basketball court would be?
Yeah. It was just empty. Wow. There was a couch at one end. There was a beanbag chair at the other end. Sometimes she would just go hang out, sit on the couch. Otherwise, she would kind of wander around or wave at the crowd or jump around or lie on the floor. And they played the album.
How long was she there?
Came out, introduced it, stayed through the 40 whatever minutes of the album, said goodbye and left.
She went on mic just to say hello and goodbye.
She did a little bit of an intro, but not much. I mean, the first thing that was really striking to listen to it the first thing is just pulling off a crazy event. She did that in New York. She did also one of those in LA, and then did on Thursday movie theaters across the country where they did these playback events in dozens and dozens of movie theaters. And just what a wild event an album launch can be nowadays is crazy how much people are looking for experience. That involves these artists where something like that can sustain.
Well, that's interesting because it also hints at, it's an atypical rollout, but it also hints at this entire project. She didn't do singles.
Right.
We've had videos for months where we've been oh, what's this thing going to be? She's presenting this in full, 10 songs, 43 minutes, and then to bring it into all these kids' experience, I don't know. It feels like a big statement to me.
We'll come back to this. It's interesting to me. No singles from her, no singles from Taylor, no singles from Beyonce. Whereas the much more conventional Dua Lipa rollout has fallen really flat. Granted, it's, what are we talking about for scale? But listening that way, and they didn't even put the song titles up. They just let the record play.
Wow.
Were people applauding or anything after the
They
songs?
were screaming, but first of all, the musicality of this album is really striking when you just hear it with just listen to it. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of different stuff. I mean, she does do the whispering singing, but also a lot more sort of open-throated singing than she's really done previously. And because so many of these songs kind of stop and change direction in the middle of the song and have different parts and sections, I really couldn't tell how many songs or when did a song end? Was this like an interlude and now this is a new song? Or wait, is this still the same song? Like, it was very different than listening to it, seeing the titles in front of me and knowing, oh, okay, so this song has these 3 parts and this is the same song. Just listening to it, you just didn't know, where anything was going or where. And that was really interesting because, again, you're like, well,
several songs segue together and then other songs halfway through change.
It is an album to listen to as an album. You really got that sense even more when there were no clues, even what separated the songs.
I got to say, that makes me want to go back. I mean, I've been dissecting. I knew I was coming on this podcast, obviously, today, but I've been dissecting it in preparation for that, looking at the songs, taking notes about when they pivot, and saying they pivot once or twice a song is like understatement, right? Like, it's like every single move is a left turn, but that makes me want to go back and listen to it kind of eyes closed and not look at the breakdowns.
Yeah, it was to be introduced to it that way was really interesting. I think not like you walked away remembering stuff, but just as an experience.
Can you think of any other artist who has done that? I can't think of a listening party like that before.
Well, I hate to say it, but I mean, Kanye was doing these things as ticketed events. I don't know if they were as rollout introductions to the albums, but he did those album parties where it was him standing in an arena, just standing there while they record played.
He was doing that for the Life of Pablo era. He was doing that, but that was chaotic, obviously. In a different
this
way.
was not chaotic.
Like the man himself. What do you guys think about what is, I think, clearly a leap forward in comfortability in terms of revealing herself? She's always been revealing and vulnerable. She's way more articulate, I think, on this record than she has been in the past.
More specific.
I think that she also vocally, she does the whisper thing, but I feel like she does the whisper thing more melodically on this record than I've ever heard. And she does take off. She does take off onto these flights where you hear what kind of voice she actually has, and when she wants to bring it, she can bring it.
I want to talk about both of those things. I think my answer is shorter for the vocally, so maybe I'll start there, which is there's a lot in these songs that come so close to me wanting that to turn over and to take the next step. Every now and then she flirts with like a club track and I'm like, go there. Like, let's do more of that. And it's the same when she sort of opens her throat and really starts singing. I'm like, holy shit, just keep going. And it's always in that moment where she reaches the crescendo for me that she then pulls back. Now, maybe that's something I should be impressed by because it shows restraint. But that is the only real frustrating experience for me from a listening perspective, is that I feel like I'm always getting really close to this letting go and this like full euphoria. And instead it's there that she pivots, or it's there that she like goes back into her sort of hushed tone, or she becomes her own backing vocal in a weird way. Her voice is amazing. We've known that for a long time. It's amazing to hear it really get its full bodied treatment. And I do want to hear more of that going forward. I mean, if I'm allowed to make a request of Billie Eilish, that's the one I would make.
What I'm really curious to see unfold a little bit is the first 2 albums felt so much like she was just on her own island. I mean, the like crazy, emo electro goth thing of the first album was just unlike anything that was out there. And then Happier Than Ever, where she pulled all the way in, the really acoustic, the like bossa nova stuff, very interior. This feels like the first time, even though there's no single, there wasn't a pre-release single or anything like that. This feels like it's kind of playing in a pop space more than the previous albums have been. It doesn't feel as much like you're totally in Billie land in that same way. And curious to see if it's going to connect as deeply as the other 2 did. I think it's more accomplished in a lot of ways, again, more musical in a lot of ways, but are kids going to grab it and hold it the way that they did the first two albums in the same way.
No, you could have convinced me through both of the first two records that she and her brother had never spoken to another human being. Like, I thought maybe they had said hi to their parents once, like otherwise it's them in the bedroom just fucking around with weird sounds.
Right.
Now, this album is not that. It absolutely interacts with the pop landscape around it. Some things get shed, which is like that total gothic interiority, but some of that is just age, right? To have been 15 and 16 is to everything is life and death, and you're not anymore. And the fact that she has not forced herself to stay in there, I think shows great maturity. I've been reading all the reviews of this record, and I thought it was interesting that John Perellis in the New York Times said that, of course, that he thinks this is her leaning into her grown-up pop album, but he also felt like these were more anonymous songs. I totally disagree. I love John. I usually were aligned, but I think that these songs are explicit. They could only be about her interactions. I don't think now listen, she's singing about other characters, but otherwise, this is her life, first person, 100%. Yeah. And so I feel like it's a huge accomplishment in that way. And Alan, I totally agree. Musically, I mean, what don't they touch? But it all sounds great.
What about, do you think that, that's so funny, Madison, you feel like those two had never spoken to another human
Literally
being.
not one human being.
When they were doing things like making a track out of her taking her Invisalign out, right? And like the weird slurp noise, like we'll loop that as a sound. That's, right. You're on your own world when you're doing that.
100%.
But it seems to me that Phineas, not that they didn't, intimately work together on everything that she puts out, but more than ever, I think he has grown as a musician, as a producer. His work outside of, his little pod there has really improved things. There's real strings on this record.
Oh my God, there's beautiful strings on this record.
Right. And they're gorgeous. And he does those arrangements. I think he did a little movie soundtrack work, which has really, I think, broadened him. And it shows for this project as well as whatever else. But really, I think he really comes out as somebody who has leaped forward.
Yeah, it's wonderful to watch them both grow. I think her lyrics are better and more mature and more specific and kind of more devastating than ever. And her perspective, I mean, listen, it sounds stupid to say about an artist, but it's true. Nobody sees the world the way Billie sees the world. The fact that she's able to communicate it so completely is amazing, right? Like, who else is writing a song called The Greatest? And what that's about is that no one's better than her at keeping a brave face while they're being rejected. Or Love of My Life is about the fact that she lied to her ex and said, "You're the love of my life." I mean, nobody is flipping these concepts this way. And the fact that Phineas and their partnership remains so in lockstep that he's finding these bizarre arrangements. I mean, there's hip hop, there's pop rock, there's classical arrangements like we're talking about, and it all just blends. I can't imagine that he's not going to get all the production awards that he deserves for this record.
Fingers crossed. I hope so.
We've had these three, the three most megastars in the pop universe in rapid succession: the Beyonce record, the Taylor record, the Billie record. And, Madison, you and I were talking about this or texting about this, like the rock landscape, the country landscape, most of the hip hop landscape, leaving aside Kendrick and Drake yelling at each other, are so super lame right now. Everything is so weak, and these women are dominating, but they're dominating not just by sheer like star power. They actually are all really delivering fascinating, challenging stuff right now. I mean, it's wild to see sort of straight ahead pop just break away and really be the only thing that feels like it's doing anything right now.
No, you could write a term paper on all of these records, and then you could do a follow-up about the interplay between the three, right? Like, and it's not comparison in a competitive way, but to look at how they don't do the same thing almost feels as revolutionary as the fact that any of them do anything at all, because they're not trying to fit into any lane. They are all releasing whatever the hell they want. I mean, Taylor's album is like 9 hours long and makes no sense. And there's an accomplishment in that. And Beyonce's record is super long and flirts with every style of music.
Sort of all American music. Yeah.
Yeah. And then this is like the most concise 10 songs, super, super tight, presented with no singles. I mean, you could just get into like pop music theory and promotion theory with like all of them. So to watch them all release back to back to back has been, I don't know, it makes me feel good in the sense that the rule book's been tossed out the window. Like if you want to make something and you have a vision for it, there's a place to release it, but they're not being honed in by any of these expectations anymore.
It's pretty exciting. I feel like the future for these, what do these three artists influence? What does the future hold for others who are paying attention to these guys who are going completely off the reservation and doing it completely differently?
And these are all, we said it before, these are really albums.
Yes.
And each artist wants you to listen to it as an album.
And for different reasons, it's not like they're all albums, but they're kind of similar in structure or similar in ambition. They're all trying to do really different things, but they're all really using that space and format to get there. Again, the way that these songs stop and careen and turn around and bounce off each other on this Billie record, partly, again, being exposed to it without even seeing song titles was just like, oh, this is like, you got to take this ride. Otherwise, it's not going to, the songs, not that they don't make sense on their own, but they're very different on their own, removed from what the full experience of the album is.
We do have to see like what this will do with her fans. I think it's good enough to go anywhere and be as big as anything. But I think what you touched on at the very top of this conversation, Alan, is interesting, which is that the only one who is sort of this caliber of attention and fame who's doing it differently is Dua Lipa. And she's doing what every label has wanted everybody to do forever. Lead up singles, bunch of magazine covers, date somebody famous. It's all happening, but it's not working. And everybody who's kind of making their own rule book right now is breaking through. Now, listen, Taylor and Beyonce don't have to work very hard to get your attention. You're waiting for whatever they're going to do. But I still think that there's something to be said for everybody defying the expectations. Like there's no right way to roll out music anymore. And just playing the industry game isn't going to get you further to the top.
So what do we think is going to happen since, as we say, Billie hasn't specifically released any singles, but we can see people sort of congealing around a couple of the songs on there. Lunch, I think, is one of them.
She made the video for Lunch, so that's being presented as, the single.
In quotes, right. Skinny, as you say, the opener for the album.
Mm-hmm.
Leading with the Queer Sex song as the single is an interesting way to play, too.
It was so amazing. And how comfortable is it? And I could eat that girl for lunch. Come on.
I think when people saw the title of this record, I think they thought it was going to be a representative of the types of songs that were going to be on the record, where I find it's more representative of the type of lyrics on this record. It is way like when she gets deep into stuff, she really gets deep into stuff. Like there is some heavy stuff on here. And I think that is way more reflective of the title of the record. And also for me too, after the Taylor record, after the Beyonce record, having this 10-song album come out, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it feels like an easier lift.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
And to digest over and over again.
The others come with homework.
Right.
You guys know I'm a Taylor fan. I haven't gone back to that record. I can't imagine I do. Like to commit so much time, and also none of it really makes sense without the rest of it.
Wow. I'm so glad you said that.
I'm not going back to that.
I said this to someone today. I was talking to my brother and I said, I've only had this album now since Friday, but there's at least 2 songs that are going to make it into like playlists I make in a regular rotation. Whereas the Beyonce song, if I hear some of the songs on the radio, great. But I'm not going back to them and cherry picking them for whatever reason to do that with. And not that I dislike them. I think they're both amazing albums, but they're not sticking it with me moving forward the way this already is.
I totally agree. I mean, and Lunch is a great summer song. I mean, we're sticking with that all summer. That's just too good.
I'm Madison, Birds of a Feather.
I like Birds of a Feather.
Birds of a Feather. It's breezy fun.
Yeah. It's funny because when you think about Billie Eilish, you don't think like, oh, that'd be good for the pool.
Right.
Except there are multiple songs on this record where I'm like, this would be kind of good for the pool. And like, you can listen to it both far away and just enjoy it as like an atmosphere, or you can really galaxy brain and realize what she's saying and dig into all of her lyrics and think about her life. And it allows you both as a listening experience. Whereas the Taylor record for me, unless you're ready to then also go through recent history of her life, it's not the same enjoyable listening experience. It doesn't have both sides for me.
Does it mean something that, Kendrick puts out music and it's all over the charts, every freaking song? Taylor, same thing, all over the charts. I don't see this one next week having, 5 songs on the charts.
Oh, I don't know. The streaming numbers were pretty enormous for the first 2 days. When you're up in the tens of millions, in 48 hours, I think you're,
I'm anxious
flying
to
at a
see
pretty
that.
high
I hope
altitude.
so, because it's not so simple as we were saying. These are songs that require listening, and they do fit into the mood of the whole album.
It'll be interesting to see where it goes. I mean, some of this it's easy to repeat and you can play them all a million times, but also you got to find your like pocket in this record. Like for me, the final third, I'll go back to that and listen to those 4 in a row. Like I'll start with Love of My Life and just go through Bittersweet, Diner, Blue. That's like a great little section. And that I just think I currently feel really addicted to. I mean, those are also the weirdest songs on the record, which is where I tend to land.
But again, the other side of that I'll be interested to see is, for Taylor fans, they're living in Tortured Poets for a long time. They're still doing their own playlists, their own edits. There was a story in the Washington Post over the weekend of people doing their own remixes. All the backstory drama homework for the fans is going to stick for a long time. We're seeing that. This record is a different kind of engagement. Is it going to be, that's what I said, the identification with Billie that was so powerful the first couple of records, does this still offer that for the super fans? We'll see how that is. Again, it's a different musical experience. How will that emotional experience play out?
I feel like it's there. Do you feel real questioning on that, Alan? I feel like it's there. Like it's not as gothic. This is my lifeline and I have nothing else to hang on to. That I think that there was a lot of relatability with her fans on the first record, but I feel like what can you not hang on to on this one? There's heartbreak. There's like weird foreboding stuff in the diner. There's sex. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's all there.
I was just checking for laughs, checking some of the streaming numbers, and we've got at 20 million is Lunch, 20 million and change.
And again, this is all since Friday. Nothing was out ahead.
Right. And just behind that, the one that is the next one is that Chihiro. The third track, Not Skinny, which I thought would have been, and look, Skinny's not, it's 13 million, almost 14 million streams. So it's not like it's stiff.
Give it time. I will just say, if you run it, which I did this morning, if you look side by side to the Dua record, because I'm really interested in the comparison of her as the one of these that hasn't panned out. The Dua singles actually have pretty high numbers.
The album is tanking.
The album, Billie has higher numbers in 2 days than Dua has in 3 weeks. So, that's worthy of note.
Well, not to go down the Dua rabbit hole though, but I think she has not done the things that these other 2 artists that we're talking about have done.
No, as Madison said, it was a much more straight ahead, and maybe she's a different sort of a pop artist. I don't think that people have that same, and I love Dua, but I don't think people have that same really personal, she's talking for me thing that these other 3 artists do, which means you're only as big as your last hit. So you can fall off that track a lot easier than these others can.
This record, for me, I swear it should have come with headphones, because it just feels like it's the type of record you want to listen to by yourself.
Yeah.
And just get absorbed into, like, she just sucks you into her world and you feel like you're that third person in that room while they're doing this record.
I literally was trying out these brand new earbuds that I got listening to the record, so it's kind of perfect. It is a headphone record. I get that. All right, so is it her best record yet?
It's so hard because right when the first one comes, we're just shocked. Like you haven't heard it. It's so new. Her vocal styling's bizarre. Who are these kids? Like there was just so much about it that was something I had never experienced. And so you can't recreate that once you know someone. I think that there's a bigger accomplishment in this record in being able to reinvent and reestablish, to stay open and to toy with new music. I predict I'll go back to this one more than I go back to the old ones.
Madison Vane, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
For coming on and carving out some time and breaking down what is a pretty great record, I think.
A pretty great record. You really have to be nitpicking to have complaints. I have a few, but they feel insane to even say out loud because it is good. Just enjoy it.
So we hope that you are, if you're interested, you should go and check the record out. We're going to be doing new music coming up in just a couple of minutes. So, and I will say that I have picked a track from Billie's record as one of my tracks for new music. I couldn't help it.
But also, if you've been listening or if you're listening now and catching up, we want to hear your thoughts on the new Billie Eilish record. Connect@sounduppod.com. Send us your emails, your voicemails. We do want on our second show this week to get some response and reaction from you guys if you like this record as much as we all seem to, and how you slot it in with the other things that have been going on in the pop music landscape. Connect at sounduppod.com or on our socials. Let us know what you're thinking.
This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
That's true. We are still the only music podcast that matters. Welcome back to Sound Up. It is time for our new music picks of the week. Who are we going to start with? Roger, how about you?
Why pick me first? I'm
the
third guy.
Mix it up here.
All right, we're gonna mix it. All right, so fine. So I'll go first this week. You guys are just clearly not prepared and throwing me under the bus. That's what's going on. Can't fool me, Goodman. So I have a few songs this week. The first one is from Doja Cat called Shut Show, and I like everything she does. I'm sorry, but I don't think she can do wrong in anything she does. And I just love her music. And this one starts off with kind of, I don't know if it's a sample or just a recreation of 10cc. And it's just, using that I'm Not in Love open, it got me right away. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And it's like, it always amazes me when younger artists like pull these random older songs out and repurpose them.
10cc too, man. Who samples 10cc?
Nice pull.
It was a nice pull and it worked really well. And then she goes into doing exactly what she does. And it's a great track. So I really liked that. It was a lot of fun to listen to and surprising, So that was my first one. My second one is from the Bon Jovi album. This is the song Living Proof is the next single. And I know, Mark, you spoke to him about this album in length and we all saw the documentary. Yeah. But it's kind of a throwback to a older Bon Jovi song in a sense that it starts off with the talk box on the guitar. It's not Richie doing it, but
right. Whoever's doing
it, whether it's Phil X or, they've got two guitar players in the band.
Yeah.
Now. Whoever's doing it, it's cool. And when you watch this documentary and you listen to everything John's gone through and you hear this song, and immediately I was like, wow, it sounds like John Bon Jovi. And it sounds really good. And what Springsteen says in that doc, he explains that John's just one of these guys who can write stadium-sized choruses that everyone wants to sing. That's what this song does. It's funny. I always think of the talk box songs as like continuations of each other. The first one's Living on a Prayer. The second one's It's My Life. And then you have this one, Living Proof. So it's kind of like a trilogy of talk box songs from John Bon Jovi. But I really like it. So my third one is the opening track to the Billie Eilish album. And the song is Skinny. Kind of diary entry type of a song. And it's so raw and brutally honest, these lyrics of where she is now and still has the insecurities and all of this stuff over this gorgeous kind of atmospheric guitar playing. It might be my favorite song from her so far. It's just really, really cool. And I was really, really surprised by it because I don't know what I expected from the album opener. I thought she'd come with kind of a banger. And when this hit, I was like, it just made me sit back. And it's one of the songs where you just want to put headphones on and you just get sucked into her world immediately.
Yeah.
And it's real unique how her and her brother are able to do that. So those are my three picks. And I tried to go as long as possible to give you guys time. So now maybe you're prepared.
All right.
Oh, thanks. No, wait, I have to listen to a few more songs. What do you mean? Of course we're prepared.
All right. So now I get to pick who goes next since you guys threw me under the bus.
Bring it.
All right. Let's go to Alan.
Felt like you were going to take some vengeance on Mark there, but that's okay.
I know. I thought so too.
I did not. I did not go with a Billie song here, knowing we were going to be talking about the album, and because it's. I don't know that I can go to a favorite quite yet because I feel like these songs will continue to unfold over some time. But the first song I want to talk about is a song from Beth Gibbons, who, if people recognize, was the singer with Portishead those many years ago and just put out the Lives Outgrown album, her first new music in 22 years. Her first album in 22 years. Portishead, of course, 2 amazing albums and a live album and Out. And she's been talking about this record for over 10 years, whether she's actually been working on what this album is. And It doesn't sound like a Portishead record. It is not a sort of trip hop. There's no sort of dance feel to this, really. It's an album about aging and about loss and about mortality and about, she sort of said making this record while she could still do it as she's getting older and years are going by. I'm going to point to a song called Reaching Out as an entry point in. It's a little more up-tempo. It's got sort of an African Moroccan thing going on, but it has a little bit of that sort of James Bond movie theme feel that Portishead sometimes had.
Yeah,
Not quite the same way, but a little of that sort of drama. So look, a lot of the album is, slower strings, weird sounds, looped or played or whatever, interesting arrangements. She still has a magnificent voice. I feel like this one's a good entry point, a little more accessible, a little more up. Really, it's an album, not surprisingly. Lives Outgrown is the album, but Reaching Out from Beth Gibbons.
I'm really glad that you picked that. I wanted to pick something, and I only got a chance to listen through to it once. Sounded really beautiful, and I'm glad you gave me an entrance point.
Yeah, it's tough to pick out. I mean, it's not that kind of, there's a single, but I feel like this is a good place to start if you're curious. And the other is a new song from Chance the Rapper, working with DJ Premier on this one called Together. And I feel like we've been through such a weird evolution. Chance the Rapper from being this like super cool indie, very unique sort of an artist to like being the guy doing the Reese's ads or whichever
Right.
chocolate bar it was,
Right.
and then being the guy on The Voice. Like, what happened to this guy who went from being really cool to really being not that cool at all?
Right.
But seems like with a new album is sort of getting back to the musicality and the writing and the different sort of artistry that made us pay attention to him in the first place. This is a song really about sort of housing justice and housing crisis, very specifically set in his city of Chicago. DJ Premier means it's, we're working with a sort of real boom bap sort of a beat on this track, and just feels like the guy is refocusing on the music again, which I feel like if that's what he wants, obviously he's made this whole other career being this guy named Chance the Rapper, but hopefully can get back on track to where we listen to the rhymes that he's writing again. And I feel like this song points us in the right direction. So Together from Chance the Rapper with DJ Premier is my other selection.
Sweet. Another place that I'm glad you pointed me in the direction. I was wondering about the guy too. Wait, wasn't he supposed to be uber hip and now he's on that reality music show? What? Made no sense.
And this did seemingly every endorsement that was offered to him.
Right.
Like, okay, it's fine. Checks will clear. I get it. But if he can pull that back around and put out a record that's interesting again, that'd be kind of good.
For sure. My picks for the week, I'm not shy. I went to the Billie Eilish record because it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack. There's a lot going on with every single song. And yet, after I went through it nonstop, I didn't read anything, didn't look at anything. I went through the album a couple of times. And right away, what jumped out to me was the song Birds of a Feather. And holy cow. And after I went through and I knew that we were going to do this breakdown today, so I was, really wanted to be familiar. And I went and was reading about the album, and there was an article, I forget whether it was in the Times or somewhere else, that has Billie Eilish joined the race already for Song of the Summer with that one, Birds of a Feather. And I can see it.
Not a banger for
not
Song
a
of the
banger,
Summer, though.
it's breezy.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. It's breezy. So that's my first pick. Monsters of Folk with some new music. I love these guys. Jim James, M. Ward, Connor Oberst, and Mike Mogis. They are reissuing their one album. They did one fantastic album. They are reissuing it, but there is an additional 5 tracks from a session in 2012 with Will Johnson, who's like the fifth monster from Centromatic. So the 5 new tracks with Monsters of Folk, that was out just this past Friday. I am all in. Also, a couple of dance things that jumped out at me. Marsh with Leo and a song called Heartbreak. This is one I found on Bandcamp. Marsh is a progressive house DJ, and he is joined up with this guy, Leo Wood, who is a UK artist, big on YouTube. He's got massive fans on YouTube. He has his own sort of community there. Over 6 million views across the series, his series of shows, with 2.4 million monthly views for his channel. So it's Marsh with Leo Wood. Heartbreak is the song. Really cool. And another one, stumbled across Cor-Ease is as best as I can do with the pronunciation. I followed the phonetics. COR.ECE. I don't know. Cor-Ease with Bad Colors, and the song is called Say Yeah. Cor-Ease is an LA-based singer-songwriter. He worked on Renaissance. One song he had on Renaissance, which is at the moment a big claim to fame for him. But he hooked up with this Brooklyn-based DJ and songwriter, Bad Colors. This new project is called Been Here Before, and it is Cor-Ease is like a multimedia artist, singer, and songwriter. And Bad Colors is the moniker of this guy. He's London-based, Maryland-raised, a singer, songwriter, producer. His name is, again, pronunciation, forgive me, Ebe Solomon. I'm going to... IBE.
Just choosing stuff, picking stuff out of a hat.
Well, it sounds like I'm throwing letters together. I know. Cor-Ease with Bad Colors, Say Yeah, is my song. That's the final one from that. All right.
Good luck going to find them.
Well, they're all going to be on our Sound Up soundtrack playlist. Luckily for you. You don't have to go scouring Bandcamp or wherever the hell else we all went. That is going to wrap it up. That is our show. Go to sounduppod.com to find out how you can be part of our live Sound Up, Sound Off podcast taping and join the Sound Up Pod Squad. Email us at connect@sounduppod.com.
Yes, and send us your thoughts on that Billie Eilish record. We want to get deeper into that with all of you guys. And you can hear, as Mark just said, our new music picks, all the music we talk about on the show, on the Sound Up Pod soundtrack playlist over on Spotify. And do not forget to give us a 5-star rating on whichever platform you listen to Sound Up on. Mark Goodman, Alan Light, Roger Coletti. That does it for another show.
See you next time.
Peace.
Sound Up is hosted by Mark Goodman and Alan Light, produced by Roger Coletti, distributed by Revolver Podcasts. Get Sound Up on Pandora Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. To be a part of the show, email us at connect@sounduppod.com. Sound Up theme music is by Smile from Tokyo. We'll see you next time right here on Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light.